Coming up, 5 big reasons why the Philadelphia Eagles are not just favorites, but the clear frontrunners to win the NFC East again in the 2025 NFL season. Yeah, we know the stat. No team has gone back-to-back in the NFC East since the Eagles themselves did it in the early 2000s. That was over 2 decades ago, back in 2004. But streaks are meant to be broken, and if there's a team ready to break the curse, it's this one. So sit back, because we're about to walk through exactly why the Birds are primed to stay on top of one of football's most unpredictable divisions. Let's start with the talent. Plain and simple, the Eagles are loaded. When you line them up next to the Cowboys, Commanders, and Giants, there's a clear gap in both depth and star power. And it's not just about what they've done on paper. It's how this organization is built from the top down. Jeffrey Lurie has created a culture of winning. Howie Roseman is one of the most aggressive and savvy general managers in the entire league. And head coach Nick Sirianni, he's built a staff that knows how to get the best out of this roster. These guys aren't rebuilding. They're not trying to figure things out. They're a well-oiled machine with championship DNA, and they're coming off one of the most dominant Super Bowl runs we've seen in years. Let's not forget the names either. You have a quarterback who just took home Super Bowl MVP honors. You have the reigning offensive player of the year. You've got the best offensive line in all of football, anchored by veterans who know how to win and young guys who are already among the elite. At wide receiver, it's arguably the most dangerous duo in the game, A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. At tight end, a top 10 weapon who can block, stretch the field, and move the chains. That's just the offense. Defensively, sure, there are some new faces and a few key players who left. Retirements, trades, and free agency always shake things up. But this group still has plenty of firepower. Losing over 4,000 defensive snaps from last season isn't nothing. But the front office planned for that. They added young studs, brought in proven contributors, and most importantly, kept the coaching continuity intact. The addition of Vic Fangio as the defensive coordinator is huge. He's the kind of mind that knows how to maximize talent and make adjustments when things aren't clicking. And he's got pieces to work with. Jalen Carter is already looking like a future Defensive Player of the Year. Jordan Davis turned a corner late last year and is starting to become the force they hoped he'd be. Nolan Smith and Jalen Hunt might still be a little raw, but the upside is massive. Zach Bond made first-team All-Pro at linebacker and was a finalist for DPOY. At corner, Quinion Mitchell looks like a lockdown guy, and Cooper DeJean has all the traits you want in a modern hybrid DB. Reed Blankenship continues to hold it down at safety. Are there questions? Sure, every team has some. You can ask about the defensive tackle rotation or who will start opposite Mitchell at corner. You can ask who lines up next to Bond or who's going to be that second safety. But even with those unknowns, this is still a defense that finished number 1 in the league last year. The foundation is strong, and they're not starting from scratch. They're reloading. And here's another reason the Eagles are set to repeat. The Commanders are due for a step back. Yeah, we all heard the hype. Jaden Daniels was the story of the season. He came in, lit it up, and people started talking like Washington was the next Super Bowl contender. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. When you look closely, a lot of their wins last year were fluky. Week 2 against the Giants, they win on 7 field goals because New York lost their kicker. Week 8 versus the Bears, Daniels threw a prayer of a Hail Mary to steal a win. Week 15 against the Saints go for 2 at the buzzer instead of kicking the pat to tie, and they fail. Week 16 against Philly, Eagles were dominating before Jalen Hurts went down with a concussion. Week 17 against the Falcons, their kicker misses a gimme at the end of regulation. Commanders steal it in overtime. Wild card round? They get a lucky doink off the upright to beat Tampa Bay. These are the margins. That's the difference between winning and losing in the NFL. And when you win that many close games, especially in weird ways, regression is almost inevitable. Then you look at the age of that Commanders roster. They got 30 players who are 29 or older. That's 11 more than the next closest team, which is the Atlanta Falcons. That's not just experience. That's borderline retirement age in the NFL. Their run defense, bottom tier. One of the worst units in the league last year. And a big fix for that was signing Javon Kinlaw, a guy whose strength is pass rushing and not stuff in the run. On top of that, they had an almost perfect fourth down conversion rate last year, 20 out of 23. That's 87%. That kind of efficiency doesn't repeat itself. It just doesn't happen. The odds catch up to you eventually. And as great as Jaden Daniels was in year one, we've seen this movie before. Defenses catch up. They find tendencies. They start to force quarterbacks to play left-handed. Maybe. Daniels continues his rise, but is far from guaranteed. A sophomore slump is a real possibility. Now let's talk about the Cowboys and Giants. Because quite frankly, they don't scare anyone right now. Starting in Dallas, they hired Brian Schottenheimer as their new head coach. Let that sink in. This is a guy whose offenses have consistently ranked near the bottom of the league. He hasn't called plays in years, and there's probably a reason for that. You combine him with Mike McCarthy, and that's a very underwhelming coaching duo. Sure, they made a splash by trading for George Pickens. That gives them a nice 1-2 punch at receiver alongside CeeDee Lamb. But beyond that, the roster is lacking. The offensive line isn't what it used to be. The defense is inconsistent. And Dak Prescott? He's coming off one of the worst statistical seasons of his career. 8 games, 8 interceptions. His efficiency metrics were brutal. You throw in a poor run defense and an Eagles team that can pound the rock behind that offensive line, and you've got a recipe for domination. As for the Giants, they added Russell Wilson. But does Russ really scare you at this point in his career? He's looked washed for a while now. And if he goes down or gets benched, the next options are Jameis Winston or Jackson Dart. Malik Nabers is a bright spot, no doubt. He's electric. But who else on that offense is going to strike fear into a defense? The weapons are thin. The offensive line is shaky. Defensively, the front line is tough, but they're going to be on the field a lot if the offense can't sustain drives. And that's the problem with the Giants. No balance, no identity, and a coaching staff under pressure. Brian DeBole and Joe Schoen are coaching like their jobs are on the line, and when teams get desperate, they start making mistakes. The Giants aren't built to compete with a team like the Eagles. Not this year. Not anytime soon. But here's the biggest thing about Philadelphia. They are built to win any kind of game against any kind of opponent in any kind of condition. You want to shoot out? Fine. They got the weapons and the quarterback to hang 40 points on anyone. You want to grind it out in a cold, ugly slugfest? No problem. They'll run it 40 times behind the best O-line in the league and let Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts wear you down. You want to play physical? They got the bodies for that. You want to play finesse? They got the speed and skill. It doesn't matter if it's snowing, raining, hot, cold, in a dome, outdoors, on the road, or in prime time. This team is built to travel. They're built for the playoffs. They're built to last. And when you zoom out and look at the NFC landscape, who's really standing in their way? The Lions? They just lost their offensive and defensive coordinators. Let me see Jared Goff try to win a January game at the Link. The Niners? Still dangerous, but they might be starting 5 rookies on defense. The Packers? The Eagles beat them twice last season with ease, and the Commanders, as we already covered, are due for a regression. Philly has the best roster. They have continuity. They've got confidence. They've got swagger. And they've got experience. Under Sirianni, this team has made the playoffs every year since 2021. They've won 14 games in 2 of the last 3 seasons. Even their down year was an 11-win campaign. Most teams fall off after winning a Super Bowl. That's human nature. You climb the mountain, you reach the top, and it's easy to get comfortable. But not this squad, not these guys. They're hungry, they're focused, they want more. And that mindset, that fire, is what separates good teams from great ones. It starts with the leadership, but it trickles down to every unit on the roster. Every coach, every player, every practice rep, it's all part of something bigger. The Eagles are not satisfied. They're not resting, they're ready to run it back. And based on everything we've seen, they're in perfect position to do just that. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest updates on our Philadelphia Eagles. And don't be shy, share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Rumors are swirling across the NFL landscape as whispers emerge about a potential shocking comeback. MEKHI BECTON, the towering offensive tackle, might be returning to the field in a surprising twist that has sent waves through the league. Buzz started quietly but quickly gained momentum, with insiders hinting that the Philadelphia Eagles are behind this unexpected move. If true, this would mark a stunning development not only for the Eagles but for the entire NFL. BECTON, once hailed as a promising force on the offensive line, has been sidelined for an extended period due to injuries that left many doubting if he could ever return to his previous dominant form. His size and agility made him a standout talent, but the long road to recovery seemed to dim the spotlight around him. However, the latest murmurs suggest the Eagles might be willing to take a gamble on the big man's comeback, potentially shaking up their offensive strategy. Philadelphia has quietly been reshaping its roster, and bringing back a player like BECTON could signal a bold intent to bolster their line with raw power and experience. While nothing has been officially confirmed, the mere possibility of BECTON lacing up his cleats again has generated a buzz among fans and analysts alike. The Eagles' offensive line has shown flashes of brilliance, but has also faced challenges protecting their quarterback, making BECTON's return a tantalizing prospect. The NFL community is no stranger to surprising returns from injury, but BECTON's situation carries extra weight given his history and the physical demands of his position. Should the Eagles move forward with this, it could be a strategic masterstroke or a risky gamble, depending on how well BECTON performs after such a long absence. Teams across the league will undoubtedly be watching closely, as his reemergence could alter game plans and playoff predictions. In the coming weeks, expect more speculation and perhaps some clues as the Eagles prepare for the upcoming season. Is this the beginning of a new chapter for MEKHI BECTON, or just another fleeting rumor in the NFL's off-season chatter? For now, the buzz remains alive, leaving fans eager to see if this comeback story will truly take flight or fade into the realm of what if. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Philadelphia Eagles, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.